Today, we're diving into one of the most talked about up-and-coming games in the extraction shooter space, Arc Raiders. With slick trailers, intense gameplay snippets, and a bold promise to shake up the genre, it's got people asking one question: is the hype really justified? Or are we looking at another game trying to ride the extraction shooter wave that Escape from Tarkov built? Let's dig in. We'll compare it to Tarkov, break down what sets it apart, analyze gameplay, and figure out whether this is the real deal or just flashy marketing. To understand Arc Raiders, we need to talk about where it's trying to make its mark. Extraction shooters have been booming over the last few years, and the genre really hit its stride when Escape from Tarkov came out of nowhere in 2016 and said, hey, what if we took the anxiety of survival games, the tension of looting, and then add the crushing dread of permadeath if you don't extract? Since then, the genre has exploded. There are many games that are all inspired by that Tarkov DNA. They borrow the risk-reward system, drop into a dangerous area, loot what you can, and extract without dying. Come out richer or come out dead. And now here comes Arc Raiders, but instead of grim Eastern European factories and forests, it gives us a stylized, sci-fi infused, co-op heavy world that feels part Destiny, part Tarkov, part War of the Worlds. One of Arc Raiders' biggest differentiators is its setting. This isn't another post-apocalyptic wasteland or near-future war zone. Arc takes place in a retro-futuristic Earth ravaged by mechanized invaders. It's got a unique visual identity. Think 70s sci-fi movies mixed with modern graphical fidelity. If Tarkov is grim and gritty, Arc Raiders is saturated and surreal. The art direction is clearly a priority here. The use of lighting, volumetric fog, environmental audio cues. It creates a world that feels both massive and isolating. And that matters, because atmosphere is what sells tension in these games. Statistically speaking, players are more likely to engage long-term with games that have strong environmental storytelling and visual diversity. A 2023 GDC talk from developers of Hunt Showdown pointed out that the unique setting was a top 3 factor in player retention. Extraction shooters live and die by their sound design. In Tarkov, you're listening for every twig snap and footstep. It's part horror game, part shooter. Arc Raiders seems to understand this, and from what we've seen, the sound design is incredibly crisp. Enemy drones echo across ruined cities.
Shaping your
Your footsteps change dynamically based on terrain. Gunfire has that satisfying punch, not overdone but powerful, and is muffled around corners. What's different about Arc's scale is not just about tight corridor fights. You're hearing massive mech footsteps echo across canyons, rockets whistle past your ears. This sound is big, it's cinematic, but it doesn't lose the nuance either. That's a hard balance to pull off, and Arc Raiders has really come through. The next thing I want to talk about is gameplay mechanics, and this is the part where it gets juicy. Arc Raiders blends PvEvP extraction, a bit like DMZ or The Cycle, but with more emphasis on cooperative tactics. It's a third-person shooter, already a departure from Tarkov, and movement is incredibly fluid. There's verticality, jetpacks, parkour, grappling hooks. The combat is admittedly less punishing than Tarkov. You're not going to get one-tapped out of nowhere as often, but there's still tension. AI enemies are coordinated and challenging, and other players can wreck your day if you're not careful. What's exciting here is that Ark seems to be borrowing from looter shooters too. You've got gear progression, crafting, and it's tied to risk. It's a mashup. Destiny's snappy gunplay meets Tarkov's extraction stakes. According to early playtests, players spent an average of 35% more time per session compared to early Tarkov builds. That suggests strong session pacing and replay value. Because there's a strong emphasis on agility and freedom of movement, this adds strategic dimension to combat and traversal. Unlike Tarkov, where slow and steady wins the race, Ark wants you thinking vertically. Need to escape a bot swarm or reposition on a team, blast into the air or grappling hook over a ridge. It's exhilarating, and it makes firefights feel like a dance rather than a crawl. The third-person camera perspective also lends itself to this. Because everybody has the advantage of seeing around corners, nobody has the advantage. This means that you're going to need to reposition more often, and because of the movement mechanics, this ends up making the gameplay feel excellent. Guns aren't ultra-realistic, like Tarkov. They're stylized, but still weighty. Recoil is there, but manageable. Weapons also appear to have rarity tiers and modding potential, leaning into the looter-shooter side of the genre. Enemy AI is another standout. These aren't just bullet sponges, they use cover, call in reinforcements, and seem to adapt mid-encounter. That makes PvE content feel more like a true challenge, not just a warm-up before player engagement. Then there's the extraction system itself. While details are still being finalized, Ark seems to be going for a more dynamic extraction, with mobile evac zones, randomized drop points, and even environmental events interrupting or delaying extractions. And that's a great way to keep matches unpredictable. Early testers have noted that gameplay sessions last about 25 to 35 minutes on average. It's an absolute sweet spot between Tarkov's high-stress marathons and DMZ's quick bursts. The pacing seems intentional, long enough to create tension and short enough to avoid burnout. And let's talk about the gadgets. Ark is embracing sci-fi tech. Deployable shields, scanning drones, healing emitters. It adds a layer of tactical gameplay that go beyond the typical point and shoot. Imagine all these mechanics in play while coordinating with teammates, while under fire by a mech. That's the kind of chaos that Ark is leaning into. All of this points to a core design philosophy that blends tension with empowerment. Tarkov leans heavily into survival realism. Ark Raiders, while still tough, feels more like an action survival hybrid, adrenaline fueled rather than anxiety inducing. For some players, that might be a welcome shift. Another statistic from the early playtests is that players reported 42% higher enjoyment rating while playing with a full squad versus solo. That suggests that Ark is nailing its cooperative gameplay hooks, a big deal in a genre often dominated by lone wolf experiences. Let's not ignore the elephant in the room. Ark Raiders looks stunning. Built in Unreal Engine 5, it uses nanite geometry and lumen lighting, which in layman's terms means detailed environments and dynamic light and shadows without nuking your FPS, hopefully. I mean, that's the idea anyway. Compared to Tarkov, which still runs on an aging engine, which has ongoing optimization issues, Ark feels next-gen. Whether that holds up on release is a big question, but the ambition is there. Even simple things like weather systems and physics interactions help create immersion. Explosions throw debris realistically, wind kicks up sand that actually changes visibility. It all plays into situational awareness, which is vital in this genre. Now let's talk about the social and co-op focus from Ark Raiders. It's clearly built around squads, and this is one of the biggest tonal shifts from something like Tarkov. Tarkov is solitary and stressful. It's like being dropped into a war documentary, and Ark, on the other hand, encourages teamwork and coordination. This could help make extraction shooters more accessible, and according to 2022 Newzoo report, co-op focused shooters had 47% higher retention among casual players versus solo hardcore games. That matters when building a community. And let's be honest, getting squad wiped in Tarkov because your buddy sneezed and gave away your position, it's not always a great time. Alright, let's pump the brakes a bit. Hype is great, but what are the red flags? For one, Ark Raiders was originally a PvE only game. This pivot to include PvP extraction elements came later. That has people wondering, is this a trend chase or a well thought out mechanic? Also, balancing PvPvE is notoriously hard. Ask anyone who's played the cycle or hunt. If AI is too strong, players get frustrated. If AI is weak, it becomes PvP only mess. Another worry is the content depth. Tarkov's success is partially because of its absurd depth. Hundreds of weapons, modding, quests, lore. Ark has to find its own way and build that kind of addiction loop. It's already playing catch up, and it remains whether it actually is going to be able to pull it off. Despite those concerns, Ark Raiders has serious potential. It's doing something different. It's colourful in a genre that's usually bleak. It's cooperative in a genre that's often cutthroat. And it has a strong studio behind it, Embark Studios, with ex-DICE devs who worked on Battlefields and Mirror's Edge and the finals. That pedigree shows. I mean, the gunplay looks responsive, the world feels alive, and the animations are top tier. Most importantly, it's trying to open up the genre to more players. Tarkov is brilliant but also brutal. Tarkov is niche, and a lot of other companies have tried to make a mainstream appeal in an extraction shooter type of game. But a lot of them failed because what makes that genre so good is how difficult and cutthroat it is. A lot of them, when trying to appeal to a wider audience, lose what it is. Ark could be the gateway drug for people who've been curious about extraction shooters, but bounced off the intensity. And I also think that Ark could also find some appeal amongst hardcore veteran Tarkov players as well. So, is the hype around Ark Raiders justified? It might be. It's bringing something fresh to a genre that is, ironically, starting to get a little bit formulaic. It has the potential to redefine what an extraction shooter can be. Less punishing, more cinematic, and maybe even more fun. We'll know more when it finally releases, but for now, it's definitely one to watch. If you've enjoyed this breakdown, drop a like and maybe subscribe. And let me know in the comments what you think about Ark Raiders. Are you ready to squad up? Or do you think Tarkov still reigns supreme? Catch you in the next one.
Remember, power is out at 2200 hours.